Hi there, I thought I would tape a lesson today over what we did in class, and today is Tuesday, January 10th. So today's lesson, what we did is we went over some of our packet work, and I wanted to start with number 6 in our packet. It's on page 4. And why I wanted to start with number 6 is it has a circle, and it wanted us to determine what the equation was. And what the center was. So the first thing that I'm going to do on the circle is I'm going to kind of mark the highest high and the lowest low, and I'm going to draw a point that ends up being a diameter, okay? And then from the left is left to the right is right. I'm going to draw that point, and the intersection ends up being the center of my circle, okay? And I end up having points that are on the circle. And those points, for instance, are -2, -2. And so I'm going to write my equation of the circle after I find the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 in my radius. The center is 4, -2. So remember, I use my equation of a circle, standard equation, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So I'm going to plug it into the formula because the center ends up being h and k. So I have some variables, and then the radius is r. So I have x minus 4 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to 6 squared, which is 36. Oops, I don't know why I did that. 36. So that would be my equation of the circle. My diameter ends up being twice the radius, so it's 12. My area is r squared times pi, and my circumference is pi times d. So moving forward from there, we can talk about what the parts of the equation mean. So this is my equation of the circle, and we talked about r is equal to the radius. HK is the coordinates of the center of the circle. And then today we talked about what XY was, and XY ends up being coordinates of a point on the circle. Coordinates of a point on the circle. So this particular lesson leads us into what we're going to do later in the video, but I want to talk first about x and y. So over here on the graph, I determined there was a few points on the graph that I could identify. One is 4, 4, one's -2, -2, one is 10, -2, and one is 4, -8. Okay? And I can use any of these 4 points and plug them into the equation that I have of the circle. So I have x minus 4 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to 36. And I'm going to use the points 4, 4 for my xy. So I'm going to see what happens to the left side of the equation when I plug in for x. I plug in 4. So I'm going to use the points 4, 4 are going to end up being my x and y. So 4 minus 4 squared plus 4 plus 2 squared, and that's equal to 36 in my equation. So let's see if that does actually equal to 36. Because it seems like that x and y is a point that's on the circle. So if I have a point that I know is on the circle, when I plug it in, the left side should equal the right side. So I have 0 plus 6 squared is equal to 36, and 36 is equal to 36. So in that case, when the left side is equal to the right side, the point is on the circle. So when I plug it in, if it is equal to r squared, the point is on the circle. And then we talked a little bit about what happens if the point is in the circle, or what happens if the point is out of the circle? How is the equation affected? So I'm going to choose the point 0, 0. And 0, 0 is actually on the circle, but I'm going to choose 0, 0, and I'm going to plug it into my equation. So I'm going to have 0 minus 4 squared plus y, 0 plus 2.
No, I closed door.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
How you doing?
Good. Plus 2 squared is equal to, and we're going to see if it's equal to 36. So it equals 4 squared plus 2 squared, and let's see if it's equal to 36. And that's 16 plus 4 is 20, and 20 is not equal to 36. But if you notice, 20 is less than. So if the number on the left is less than r squared, the point is inside the circle. In the circle. And then later on, and you can do this on your own, if I chose the point 10, 4, I could plug that in for x, y, and it would actually be greater than 36. So if that left side of the equation is greater than r squared, the point is outside the circle. Outside the circle. Okay, so that kind of explains a little bit. So today's lesson, what we did is you had a little assignment sheet, and it just asked you, and I asked you in class very quickly to write an equation given the center and the radius, and the first 4 went very quickly. So I'm still using my x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And hk, again, is the center. So this is hk. And I'm going to plug it into my equation. So x plus 12 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to 16. And that's the equation. And you do those first 4 all exactly like that. So number 5 gets a little bit different. So in this case, I know that the circumference is 4 pi, and I know that there's 2 different formulas for the circumference. The first one is circumference is equal to pi d, and the second one is circumference is equal to 2 pi r. So I know that the circumference, 4 pi, is equal to 2 pi r. And the reason I'm using that formula is that I want to solve for r. I already have the center of hk, but I don't have the r. So I'm going to use the circumference to solve for r. So in this case, I divide by 2 pi, and r is equal to 2. So then from there, I just have the equation x minus 10 squared plus y minus 16 squared is equal to 4, because 2 squared is 4. And then moving on along, number 6 is a little bit different. So again, I'm given hk, and I'm given the circumference, and I'm going to set that equal to 2 pi r. And I'm going to solve for pi by dividing by 2 pi. And so I'm left with r is equal to the square root of 58. And the right side of the equation is actually r squared, so when I square a square root, it just takes away the square root. So r squared is 58. So I have r squared and I have h and k. So it's x plus 1 squared plus y plus 10 squared is equal to r squared, which is 58. And we did 7 and 8 the exact same way. Now, if you look on down the page to 9, 10, 11, and 12, these were a little bit different. I'm given a point that is the center, and then I'm given a point on the circle. But I am not given r squared. So I'm going to actually start the left side of the equation, and then I'm going to use my point and plug it in and solve for r squared. So my left side of the equation is x plus 9 squared plus y plus 4 squared, and I don't know what r squared is equal to, so I'm going to leave that the right side of the equation blank. So, but I am going to take my values of x and y, so this is x plus 9 squared plus y squared, and I'm going to see and evaluate what that is equal to. So it's negative 2 squared plus negative 6 squared, and that ends up being 40. So that gives me what the right side of the equation is equal to. So basically I used my h and k, I used my center to find the left side, and then plugged in my point and solved for r squared. So, and then you do 10, 11, and 12 the exact same way. And that's what we did today in class.